super excited to have this conversation with Carla, who I met a couple of years ago in a meeting for women entrepreneurs here in Minnesota. And she was really happy, Carla, that you accepted this invitation for this conversation, because I've been following you on LinkedIn ever since we met, and I just love the work that you're doing and that you have done here locally in Minnesota to empower others. So I'm really excited for this conversation. But I know you and I've been following you for a while, but many of the people who will be watching this don't know you. So could you share a little bit more about who you are and the work that you are doing and that you have done before?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Ana. Thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be interviewed, particularly as we want to continue to support women in their growth, and particularly when we work through cultures and in cross cultures. So I'm delighted. Thank you, first and foremost. So a little bit about me. I grew up in South America. Uh, as an adult, I lived in Argentina, Austria, and Spain. I moved to the US in my early 30s. And that means that I had like different lives in the different places that I lived. My life has not been like this, like very like neat and straightforward continuum. It has been with a lot of movement and waves and turns and twists. I part of the work that I did in my earlier career when I lived in Argentina and in Europe, I was in pursuit of different things. I worked in communication. My first degree in higher education is public relations. I did the coursework of a master's in communication, and when I was 25, there was a economic crisis in my country, so that made me want to try different things and do different things and reinvent myself. It was a very difficult time, so I used it to rethink who I wanted to be. And then in my 30s, I moved to the US, and I went back to college because my visa wouldn't allow me to work. So the only thing that I could do was to go back to college. I was blessed to have higher education already, so I could pursue a PhD. That is one of those degrees that you don't need to pay for it. There is like usually like typically you would have the chance to teach while you take courses, and so it is not an investment, a monetary investment, because I didn't have any money, so I couldn't take a loan. I couldn't, so because of that, I have a PhD in cultural studies, and then I have 30 years of cross-cultural experience across languages and across cultures. And today I'm a relationship-based, research-informed community development and community and power building strategist. So what I do is I help organizations, and that is corporations, nonprofits, philanthropy, and government, to build relationships with the communities that they serve.
That is amazing that you have had that path of like figuring it out as you went, and just being flexible with probably what you were expecting your career to be versus where you are at now. I'm assuming there is a big gap in that, and I think that's amazing of like how much you can learn as you are going through all these different career changes and movements. So a lot of the people who will be watching this video are like women who are starting to get into the workforce. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is like, what would you tell someone who's just getting started and maybe wants to work in the space that you're working, or get a PhD or move to a different country? What would you tell someone who's just getting started to help them like move forward?
Yes. So what I would say is so first, like, know better. Get really good at what you do. So pay attention to yourself, to the things that you've learned, how you learned that. Try also to think very inclusively of what learning is. We learn in many different ways through many different venues. So try to get really good at, keep developing what you know and get really good at that. I like this idea of constant knowledge, keep trying to get better, but also don't get paralyzed with the things that you don't know. So how can you do both? How can you continue to grow? But we always have things that we don't know yet. So how to do not to get just like frozen by the things that we don't know. Always forward, always forward. The second thing that I would say is connect better. Connect with people that are aligned with your goals, even if they seem out of reach, even if it is like that person that you think, oh, that person is too senior to talk to me. Chances are, if you are aligned in what you want, they will want to talk to you. They will be as excited to talk to you as you are to talk to them. So be very intentional about connecting with those people. Also, be honest while building relationships. When you connect with someone, that someone is giving you the gift of their time, the gift of their attention. They emotionally connect with what you need. So don't misuse or abuse that gift. So be honest and straightforward with those connections. And the third one would be know your why. Why are you doing this? So try to really ask yourself, why, what is it that I want and why? What's the why behind it? Because what I realized in my career is that the why has remained always the same. So I approached my why in different ways. I tried and things didn't work here and there, but at the end of the day, the same why, which is like connecting with people, seeing people, understanding people. That's what really interests me since day one. And trying to reshape that why so that I can make the changes that I want to make in the world.
I love that. I especially love the one of like, don't let what you don't know stop you from moving forward, because I think that's like one of the big fears for many women, especially like, the imposter syndrome and all that talk. It's just like that fear of like, but I don't know that, and how do I move forward? So I love that. Don't let that stop you. You can always just learn.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that. So, if you could have a conversation with your 20-year-old self today, with what you know and where you are compared to where you were then, what is like one piece of advice that you would give yourself as a 21 or a 20-year-old
Yeah.
Carla?
Yeah. So when I was 20 years old, the idea, like in my country, what they said is that you needed to have experience, and that the experience was all that matters. And I was too pragmatic, and I didn't study the way that I could have, because I was too busy like doing. I was like busy trying to like have experience and do work instead of pausing and understanding what I wanted. And so what I would say is take your time to learn what you want to do. And again, you will learn in different ways. It is not always through a book, but through relationships, to getting to know other people, to know you and know better what you want to do. Because I was able to do that when I was doing my PhD, that I like immersed in like wanting to find out what you wanted to. You don't need to go that far, but you know, when you have the chance to invest in what you want to do, try to go deep into understanding what you want to do and how to learn the skills that you need to acquire in order to do that well. And then what I would tell myself is that it is not straightforward. I just wanted things to be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do like this internship and do these 2 different jobs, and then I will land this job that I want to have. It never happened like that to me. Never in my life. But what I have learned is that learning and doing and changes has always ended up being very very twisty and turny, and now that I am like, you know, with 30 years of experience, the work that I'm doing now, it is not that different to the work that I started doing in my 20s. Like at the end of the day, there is like this common thread that remains the same type of interest, the same type of like perspective on what I want to do, what I find exciting. It has remained very, very similar.
That is so amazing to see that when you're looking back, is I think as you shared, you know, at the beginning, how your life has changed, and seeing that there is though that line that has been consistent throughout, even though you were changing a lot in like the work that you're doing. That's like really cool to see. So last question before we let you go. What is your superhero strength and why? What do you think has been like your biggest power?
Yeah. So, you know, when I was a child, I would hide under my great aunt. It is like, yeah, great aunt, like my grandma's sister's sewing machine table. I would hide there and would watch soap operas. I was just like in the story of these dramas of love and all that. Like I was like absorbed by stories, and that is my superpower. Like I get so absorbed by what people tell me, the stories behind us, that I'm a really good listener. Like I've learned to listen really, really well what folks are telling me, what's behind that emotion, what's behind that frustration, what's behind that dream. And I think that being able to empathize and align and understand where we're all coming from has been is actually my superpower. Like I'm able to do things because when I have this conversation, I understand what the other person is telling me. And I'm finding ways to work together and find ways to collaborate, ways to push for the same idea, really find who else is really invested in this thing that we are doing, and bringing people in, and aligning, you know, goals. That has been my most effective tool in the last 10 years.
That is amazing. And that is truly a superpower that I think all of us should be practicing every day, and the listening. So thank you so much, Carla. I really, really appreciate your time and all the insights that you shared today. And I'm sure everyone will love hearing more from you.
Thank you so much, Ana. I appreciate this.